Heyo, I'm Yikes, a longtime Dragon Ball fan and art hobbyist.
And I'm Bog, a longtime digital artist and a new fan of the show.
And this is Drawmehameha, a channel where we'll be exploring the series episode by episode and creating fun content for longtime fans.
And casual viewers too.
So be sure to keep an eye out for some exciting stuff we have planned for the future.
This is the first episode of our Screenshot Redraw series, where we'll be doing just that, redrawing a screenshot from every single episode of the original dubbed Dragon Ball Z.
Along with some very knowledgeable commentary.
Oh yes, of course. We know everything there is to know about this show. There's no one who knows more than we do.
Oh, absolutely. And some very mature humor.
Oh yeah. Just the highest brow of comedy here.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, let's jump right into it. Okay, so we're starting with the Raditz arc, and it covers episodes 1 through 6. We're on episode 1, the crunchy episode 1, not Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Yeah, the crunchiest.
Yeah, the crunchiest
crunchy
it can be. And we're definitely watching it legally.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are, with all the money we have.
Yeah, we have a ton of that too.
ton of that too. And subscribers. Ton of those.
We certainly have way more
well,
of those.
We're starting with the Raditz arc for episode 1, titled The New Threat.
Okay, so there are two primary plots in episode 1, if you can really call them that. Really not a lot happens in episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, which is weird to say. Okay, the two main plots of this episode are Gohan, the 5-year-old, Goku's son, is lost in the woods because I guess neither of his parents were really paying attention. Neither of them seemed very concerned. And then the B plot is Raditz, Goku's alien brother who we have just met, comes to Earth, kills some random farmer, and then fights Piccolo, and that's it.
So a fun thing about this episode I picked up on was we start right away with a narrator who is none of the characters, which is just a fun thing Dragon Ball's always done. But also, for anyone who hasn't seen Dragon Ball, they are just throwing you into it, because they are starting with 5 years have passed. This is not a continuation. There will be no summary. Dragon Ball is over. King Piccolo is dead. Do we know who that is? Probably not, because you probably haven't seen that show, because it's so old. Even though it's good, it's very old.
Yeah,
and
it was always... I didn't watch Dragon Ball before I watched Dragon Ball Z, so I was a little confused going into it, but also I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, at least in terms of what the characters are.
Yeah, it's a fun jumping off point. It's you can still watch Z without watching Dragon Ball, and that's why we're starting this series here, really.
Especially because I'm not even sure what I would have to say about Dragon Ball itself. It's hard to talk about that show. I couldn't even begin to explain it.
You still haven't finished it.
I still haven't finished
You've only
it, no.
Started it.
I've only started it. So something I noticed right away with the A-plot is it does a pretty good job of setting up Chi-Chi and Goku, and Gohan by extension's whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Chi-Chi, who is your traditional, strict, kind of helicopter parent wife. They don't really lean into that as much this episode because it's primarily focused on Gohan and Goku.
Now, on that, I thought it was interesting that we start off with Chi-Chi having to deal with Goku.
Yeah.
I was just the whole episode thinking, poor Chi-Chi. Her husband brought her an entire... What's the big trees?
I don't know. Redwood?
Redwood. Just giant tree the size of a building. Her house is very small.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does he do this every day? Is this an everyday occurrence?
That's the question. Like, how much firewood does he think they need, and where are they going to keep that so it doesn't get wet?
And also, something that I noticed is that it seems like they didn't really say it, but it seems like both of them assumed the other one was watching Gohan.
Yeah, I was going to say, who is watching Gohan? Because Chi-Chi is calling for him as if she thought he was out playing in the yard. Goku kind of seems unconcerned. What I took was Goku was supposed to be watching Gohan and just ran off to the woods.
I theorized that maybe he was supposed to take Gohan with him, or to be, like, on the outskirts of the woods watching Gohan. Either way, someone messed up and Gohan gets lost in the woods. And let me tell you, he almost dies like 3 times in 20 minutes.
3 separate deaths.
I counted it. I made a tally. In the 19 minutes of the actual show, Gohan cries 5 times. 5 separate times.
5 separate times. That's, what is it? What does that come out to? Once every 4 minutes?
Yeah, once every 4 minutes, Gohan is crying.
And they're going to keep that up, aren't they?
They're going to keep that up for the next, 30 episodes. And I'm not sure how long that's
going to be the one crying.
Yeah, and then Vegeta cries.
But I digress.
But we're not talking about
Vegeta.
We're talking about Gohan, who It is a little annoying how much he cries, but I gotta say, his design is so cute. I think it's so interesting.
On that, I think he is built, like, proportion-wise, like an Animal Crossing villager. I wanted to point that out. He's got the body, the big head, the little outfit, the cute little accessory hat, and his face is very babyish, you know? Mm-hmm. I think he looks like you could put him in Animal Crossing, he'd be fine. And he's just, my notes on Gohan were a crybaby.
Oh, yeah. Literally, I had to tally it up because it was getting a little bit ridiculous about 10 minutes in.
Back on the who was supposed to be watching Gohan, he does say in the episode, I want my daddy. And I feel like that implies he must have started with his dad. So we've got more evidence in the Goku fucked up category.
Oh, that's perfectly in character with the entire show. I don't doubt that at all. Honestly, before I watched this episode again, I just assumed that was what happened.
So on Gohan, I gotta say, so you said he died, what? He almost died 3 times?
Three separate
different
times.
Things. So his first death would have been almost death, almost mauled by a tiger. Not a tiger, saber-tooth.
Mountain lion?
No, it's got the saber-teeth because Dragon Ball has dinosaurs in it.
Okay, so a saber-tooth tiger.
A saber-toothed tiger attacks Gohan. Now, my thoughts on the tiger, because I have a lot of them.
You have a lot of thoughts on the tiger.
The tiger, yes. Ignore Gohan, ignore the space aliens we meet in this episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
No, those don't matter. The tiger is what matters to me. So, the tiger's weirdly sentient, right?
No, I think that's just a thing with all the animals in Dragon Ball. Every single animal seems to hold some degree of sentience, which...
That's worse. Because I'll remind me in a bit what you just said, because that makes something else way worse. So the first time Gohan almost dies, it's by the tiger.
The second time, he is running from the tiger.
Uh-huh.
He has his eyes closed because he's crying, of course. He's crying, screaming through the woods. He immediately runs through a bush, eyes closed, falls off the cliff.
Now, yes, that stuck out to me too, because even if he had his eyes closed, and I can see even myself so scared being chased by a tiger, I'm crying, I'm running. How did he run through a bush? Because it wasn't a small bush.
I mean, I'm assuming he is, spoiler alert in case anyone doesn't know this, he is an alien. He is half Saiyan. So
but still, he threw a bush. Imagine all the stuff all over his clothes, getting hit in the face with branches. Why would you choose to run through the bush?
I mean, he is 5, so I guess he was just running in the direction he thought would get him away from the whole tiger incident.
Through the bush.
Anyways, he runs through a bush, off a cliff. And then later on, he wakes up, he has somehow caught himself with his tail. A nice little nod, actually, to his Saiyan instincts.
Yeah.
Because it would make sense that a Saiyan child would be able to use their tail like that, even if he doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And then, immediately after he's not falling off a cliff and he's safe, he falls into a river. About 2 seconds later.
Now, here's my point. If you're saying all creatures in the Dragon Ball universe are implied to be sentient, we know Dragon Ball has furries, right?
Yes, of course.
I think the saber-toothed tiger must be at least semi-sentient by the way he moves and seems to almost talk with the characters. But before Gohan almost drowns...
Yes.
He falls off a log, okay? But Gohan was balanced on that log. The thing that caused that log to spin and drop him into the water was the bird. And it kind of implied, remember with the way it was shot, the bird was looking him in the eyes. The bird did not run away when Gohan got onto the log. He's like 3 feet from this bird. I don't know about you, but other birds, if I get close to a bird, it flies away.
I mean, it could be that Gohan is just such a gentle soul that animals don't fear him, which I could see because that would track with him being Goku's son.
If you're saying in Dragon Ball there's a trend of the animals being sentient, and this bird looks at Gohan, sticks around, listens to what he has to say, then chooses to fly away. They frame it like that's what happened, implying that bird. Now, not only did a tiger try to kill Gohan, but also a bird. Just right away.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Anyway.
There's a weird focus on birds in this episode. Toriyama seems to really like birds.
That tracks with stuff that happens later on.
Yeah, there's just a lot of birds. The pink flamingos, the one that kills Gohan.
There's a big natural sort of feel to this episode, which I like because later on, you guys know, it gets all into like space and stuff. We gotta stop talking about this whole running around in the woods thing in a second, but one more note that I thought was kind of cute that was probably unintentional, but either way I think it's cute for Gohan's character, is that they set up that he enjoys bugs. pretty early on.
They do.
Because there's like a whole scene that actually leads to the tiger thing, where he's chasing around a butterfly, very interested in the butterfly. Which I thought was cute. It's cute to show that Gohan has this connection to nature that is shared with his father.
I think it's kind of funny that Gohan canonically doesn't really know anyone his own age, and he's just out here the whole first episode talking to animals.
That falls in line pretty well. I mean, yeah, I thought it was really cute that when he was looking for Goku also talked to animals in the same way, which, makes sense considering he was raised in the woods alone with his grandpa and then just completely alone for the first 12 years of his life. So it makes sense that Gohan would have that same sort of connection.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
On the topic of animals, the original saber-toothed tiger that tried to kill Gohan, his first response was not... Now, Goku, back in Dragon Ball, he's this, big, strong, tough fighter. He's gonna punch anything that breathes.
Oh, yes.
Gohan just lied down and died.
Yeah,
he just laid down and waited for it to eat him.
Yeah.
It just took his hat, but it could have just eaten him. He just laid there.
Oh, I was also curious about it.
Why didn't it take the hat?
Did it know?
More evidence it's sentient.
Yeah, maybe it just took the hat because it recognized the Dragon Ball. I don't really know what the tiger's motivation was. It doesn't show up again.
No, it doesn't.
It's kind of just a plot device for this filler episode where Gohan cries in the woods for 20 minutes.
I could be wrong, and I'm not going to fact check, but from my limited knowledge of Dragon Ball from when I read it as a kid, I'm pretty sure there's a general or some member of the Red Ribbon Army who was a Tiger Man. Maybe this is him. Maybe he's in the woods now.
I don't think so. I could talk for a long time about what I think is actually going on biologically in the Dragon Ball world, but that would
save that for another time.
Yeah, that's not important.
Another video.
So Goku in this episode, I thought there's not much to say about Goku in this episode. He's looking for Gohan and not overly concerned about Gohan's safety for a while until he sees Gohan about to go over a waterfall on a log. Why did they let their 5-year-old run around unsupervised when this is an outcome? Yeah,
they're in the woods. They're not in, modern society where it's
They are
safe.
On a giant mountain in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of just wildlife. Now, one thing. I thought, I could be wrong, I thought Goku could fly already.
Yeah, I thought so too, but we'll just have to see, I guess.
He's relying on Nimbus. Maybe it'll clear it up in a few more episodes. I thought he could fly already, and I just don't understand why he was so scared of that water. Why he didn't just grab his son. Did he not want to get his gi wet for the party?
He might not. Yeah, he is going to a party later on, but I think that he just might not know how to fly yet. We're just going to have to see later on if he flies in the next few episodes, or if that's something he learns how to do later on. I can't remember.
I thought he already knew.
It's honestly really jarring to me after having finished the show to see the characters just walking around like normal people and Goku having to actually rely on
Gosh,
Nimbus.
He can't even teleport yet.
He can't teleport yet. He's not God yet. He's just a kind of strong guy.
Okay, I think that's enough on the A-plot. Oddly enough...
no, it's not. We haven't even talked about the screenshot I chose to draw yet. Okay, so it seems like the point of this episode, aside from being filler for some reason, was to hint at Gohan's true power, which I think they do pretty well with him, like I said before, catching himself on that branch when he's falling off a cliff.
Oh, it's also implied, if we're saying Goku might not be able to fly yet, they do imply when he falls down the waterfall that he flew up to save himself.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. The screenshot I chose to draw was Goku realizing that Gohan somehow didn't die on the waterfall, almost as if he had flown up once he had fallen off the log onto that branch that he's holding in the drawing.
It's interesting how they make Goku look just as surprised as Gohan is.
Yeah.
Implying that they had no idea, which is really good foreshadowing.
Yeah, because honestly, Gohan is a bit of a crybaby. I see why Goku would assume that he couldn't really do much. I mean, Goku himself couldn't really do much when he was little other than eat dinosaurs or something. which isn't nothing, but it's definitely not.
Punched a lot of cars and helicopters.
Yeah, he's also bulletproof, but I digress. Anyway, that's the A-plot. Gohan, the gist of the A-plot is Gohan has some powers that Goku didn't know about and that Gohan himself doesn't seem to know about.
And Goku's an absent father.
Goku's an absent father.
Very big theme here.
Big theme will continue to happen. Now,
okay.
B-plot.
The B-plot. I can get us into that one, but before, I'd like to have a little aside here in the middle to talk about, is there anything in this episode that just struck you, aside from plot stuff, that was just weird, world-building wise? Anything you liked, anything you didn't?
Well, honest, I didn't dislike any of it. It's nice to see the world-building in Dragon Ball still being weird and wacky with the kind of dated, retro, but futuristic look at the cities, and also the really weird mountain formations of Mount Paozu.
Mm-hmm.
The backgrounds for this show have been such a big inspiration for me lately, so it's really nice to see some of those more natural, non-space backgrounds in the early show. I did think it was strange that, and getting into the B plot, I guess, it opens with a farmer whose primary livestock seems to be some kind of featherless emu.
Now, I read those as some weird turkey flamingo hybrid, or chicken flamingo. Our B plot is about some strange spaceship crashing to Earth, hitting farmland of all places, and then out comes, have they named him yet?
They have not named him yet, but we can go ahead and name him because chances are if you're watching this, you know who it is. It's Raditz.
It's Raditz, yes.
This big burly beautiful alien man with
And I gotta say, when Raditz leaves his space pod...
There is a solid 10-second shot where it is just on his crotch.
Just his crotch, yeah. They show his hands, they show him stepping up, and then they just linger on the crotch. They just move up from the feet, linger right there for way too long, then up to his face.
Noticeable enough that we both looked at each other when we saw it.
Yes, we were both counting on our fingers how long we were going to look at this man.
And since the scene is from the point of view of the farmer, I have to assume that's where the farmer was looking for.
Yes, well,
which
the farmer's very short.
That's true.
So
Raditz
you can only
8 feet
assume
tall.
maybe that's his eye level just happens to be just unfortunate. Or fortunate. We don't know how that farmer swings.
I mean, also, I could see him looking there because the Saiyan Saga armor, especially for Raditz and then later on other characters...
It is a Speedo kind
of thing. Speedo with a loincloth crotch plate sort of deal, so I could see that being distracting.
Very unexpected.
Okay, sorry about that weird cut, but we're back and we were on the topic of, I believe, Raditz's crotch.
Which was full frontal shot.
No, you can't say full frontal. But yes, there was a very long, semi-uncomfortable shot of Raditz climbing out of his space pod, and it was just his crotch plate. So I guess do with that information what you will. Anyways, the first thing that happens involving Raditz is he lands...
and tries to kill a guy.
No, doesn't try. He succeeds. A guy tries to shoot him because...
No. Unclear if that farmer died. The bullet hit the truck.
No, it went through the farmer and hit the truck, I thought.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, what happens is this farmer sees this giant alien man with, so much hair, more hair than person, climb out of the space pod and then immediately decides to shoot him.
Okay, I could be wrong. The farmer does try to shoot him right away. They established that the farmer has a power level of 5, and that's very small.
Yeah, which we can assume is around the average for a normal Earthling.
Now, me and Bog here, we've been debating just in our own time what the power level of a gun is. So this is a good baseline that it's stronger than 5.
Okay, yes.
For sure. But
it
weaker than Well, Goku, assumedly. Or
weaker.
Piccolo.
Okay, so power levels in this show are very...
Power levels, yeah,
they're inconsistent at best, but for guns, it seems like we can just assume that the power level of a gun I'm going to throw out there is 50.
Well, I'm going to try throughout this series to pinpoint it myself. We know it is above 5 and below 300, for sure.
Yes.
Because I want to know, at that rate, there is a chance we could calculate how many guns it would take.
To kill a Saiyan?
Yes, because we know how strong he had a shotgun.
Yes.
So, there's our gauge, and I feel like,
So I guess...
we can crack this case, we can solve this.
Like and subscribe if you want to know what the power level of a gun is whenever we get to more guns in Dragon Ball.
Which there are
There's a surprising amount, yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly a lot, but surprisingly few space guns, like laser beams and stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into that later on, but those aren't really that relevant, all things considered.
Back to Raditz, okay. He's searching with his scouter for a very high power level because he's looking for someone named Kakarot.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Kakarot is
his brother.
Goku, yes. Oh, come on, everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that?
Yes.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
Starting this series, you knew that?
Yes, I did. But anyway, he's looking for Kakarot. He's mad because Kakarot has not fulfilled his mission, which is implied to be wiping out literally everyone on Earth. So he's definitely bitter about this Kakarot figure. We don't know yet in this episode who Kakarot is exactly. Okay, so actually strike that. We do know that Kakarot is Goku because towards the end of the episode, there is a flashback segment that shows Goku
as a baby.
As a baby.
Landing on Earth.
Can you imagine?
Raditz says, we sent you here as a baby.
Can you imagine being a longtime fan of Dragon Ball, the original anime, and then deciding to watch this new thing that just came out?
And finding out your main character has been an alien the whole time?
Yes, because this whole alien stuff, just not a part of Dragon Ball. There's a few little jokes.
Not an explicit part.
Not an explicit part. There's a few little jokes that maybe make me think Toriyama knew going in that Goku was not an Earthling. But for all intents and purposes, all of this alien stuff is new. Which brings me to my favorite alien.
Piccolo, yes.
Piccolo.
Okay. Raditz leaves the farmer after maybe killing him and goes to the highest power level he can sense, which is 322. That's Piccolo's power level, and we know Piccolo is stronger than a gun.
Yes, we do know.
For sure.
Yes.
So, he goes to Piccolo, and the first thing he says is, you look like you had a terrible day. And Piccolo says, you don't know the half of it. Something along those lines. And I want to know, what happened to Piccolo? They don't tell us. What's been going on
Maybe
with
Piccolo's
He's brooding on a mountain, but he does that a lot.
Yeah, that's like his thing. That's his hobby.
Hangs out in the wastelands all the time. We love him.
Okay, so Piccolo hanging out in the wasteland, Raditz comes by. So their interaction is basically just Raditz saying, hey, you're kind of weak, and Piccolo trying to kill him.
No. An interesting thing. Piccolo was the villain of Dragon Ball, and very like gung-ho, but he seems to have learned from his fight with Goku. He doesn't want to fight Raditz. He says he's not here to pick a fight, and Raditz says, I am, and shoots him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's grown out of that teen angst phase, I guess.
Of just immediately.
Of wanting to kill.
He doesn't immediately try to kill Raditz. He talks to Raditz, and then Raditz tries to kill him, and then Piccolo shoots him with every bit of energy he has, and is devastated to learn that it does nothing.
Yeah, which I'm not actually sure what Raditz's power level is at the moment.
They're gonna say it soon, I'm sure.
Yes, but anyway.
Now, something else, it ends, of course, on a name drop of the Saiyans, saying, like, we're a Saiyan race, talking about
the first mention of Saiyans.
The first mention of Saiyans as a whole, and how they sent a baby here. He ends by screaming, flying off after an even higher power level, and screaming Kakarot into the sky, and then we get an extended cut of assumedly the clouds hitting him in the face as he flies, because it seems to be a first-person point of view, while the narrator, like, teases the next episode. But one thing that I think is very important here that it establishes, now, unclear if this is canon, but it's unclear if anything is canon in the Dragon Ball world.
Yes,
so,
yeah, there is no canon.
In the canon of this show, though, they have established that Saiyans, despite all appearances, do have body hair. Because Raditz says to Piccolo, he managed to singe his leg hair.
Oh my god,
now,
I
here's
didn't
the
catch
thing.
that.
All Saiyans are canonically born with the hair that they are born with, implying all Saiyans are born with leg, chest, all of it.
Okay, we'll get to that
everything.
when more Saiyans show up, but
just an interesting
fun fact.
They do have body hair. Wonder how that works.
One more thing to note that I think is very funny and consistent with Piccolo's character later on is that upon losing this fight very badly, it wasn't even a fight, it was Piccolo throwing everything he had at this strange man and then realizing it did nothing. Piccolo's immediate instinct is to follow him around, which leads me to, I think, one of the most important character aspects of Piccolo. Mm-hmm. He is nosy.
He is nosy. Canonically, his big old ears can hear everything. I think Piccolo is in everyone's business all the time.
Yes, and
absolutely. I'm going to die on that hill. Yeah,
that's going to be very fun to see later on.
I'm going to keep looking for that.
Is less antisocial.
Now, one last little point about this saga before we start wrapping things up and talking about the drawing, because you seem to be finishing up here. One thing that I want to know is, I guess two things. Back to Gohan. I know that's backtracking a lot, but back to this little guy in this tree. He loses his hat, okay? He does. When Goku rescues him, Gohan has a moment where he's like, Daddy, I lost my hat, I'm so sad. And Goku, who has retrieved the hat from a tiger, mind you, from a saber-toothed tiger, says, no you didn't, puts it right on his head. I can only assume he did that to stop him from telling Chi-Chi. Right? He is
tracking.
gaslighting the 4-year-old.
To be fair, Gohan has had a very weird, 30 minutes. I don't actually know how long he was in those woods. Who knows how long
this has been? Because who knows how long it took Goku to notice? That's the thing.
Yeah, it took, presumably...
Because we don't know that this episode was 30 minutes.
True. Presumably, it took however long it took Chi-Chi to notice for Goku to go look.
Yeah, which could have been a long time if she trusted Goku, but I don't think she would have. Another thing, this is one of the most important details. When Piccolo is just vibing on that cliff, having a great time, or a bad time, because it's
unclear.
His day was apparently terrible.
Just resting bitch face, I guess.
Resting bitch face, hanging out on that cliff. When Raditz gets there, before he does, Piccolo is sensing the energy, okay? And he says, what is that power? I've never felt power that strong. It can't be Goku, because it is, and I quote, too horrible. Therefore, canonizing the fact that Raditz must just have vibes that are rancid. Yeah, just awful vibes. Just Raditz walks into a room, the mood is ruined.
Oh man, I would love to psychoanalyze Raditz because, spoiler alert, he's only here for 6 episodes, and we never see him again after those 6 episodes, but there's so much about him that is interesting.
So much you could do with him. He's a blank slate.
We'll get to that later on. But anyway, things we know about Raditz. Has body hair, wears a Speedo, and has terrible vibes.
Terrible vibes. Wears a Speedo, leg hair singed off by Piccolo, bad vibes, bad energy, hates his brother, wants to find him.
Okay, and that's kind of where the episode ends.
Yeah, that's what we get.
Final thoughts about this episode for me, just thinking about this episode as a whole, it is a bizarre choice to have the first episode of this anime be filler. Non-canon filler.
Non-canon filler about the child. I understand it.
I see what they were trying to do.
They wanted to introduce Gohan more. Because he doesn't get much of an introduction in the manga from what I remember.
But I feel like they maybe went about it a weird way. I think
it's a bit strange to have Gohan be the A plot, and the B plot that gets less time is all the confusing alien things that that are being established that we've never heard
that they're just throwing at you.
Yeah, I think maybe those could have been flipped. But I can't say I didn't have a good time.
Yeah, I see what they were doing with the dynamic, dichotomy between Raditz and Gohan, where Raditz is a full-blooded Saiyan who is violent, power-hungry, extremely strong for the show at the moment, and then Gohan being a 4-year-old child who is crying in the woods and getting beat up by wildlife. Mm-hmm. But I feel like maybe I kind of wish that there had been more Chi-Chi, Goku, and Gohan interaction as a group. Instead of just a lot of Gohan crying.
News for you and for anyone listening.
Yes, they don't really do that.
We're not going to get a lot of that.
We get some of that.
We're going to get more Chi-Chi nagging Goku than we're going to get Chi-Chi being nice.
Yes.
To either of them.
Which is honestly a shame because Chi-Chi is a kind of fun character.
She deserves more love than she gets.
Yes, I think that she puts up with a lot as, her introduction to the story being putting up with Goku losing their child in the woods. Mm-hmm. I feel like that could have been explored more, but either way, it's an episode for sure.
Poor Chi-Chi. Spoilers for the episodes ahead, but poor Chi-Chi lets her husband watch their son for an hour. He loses him in the wood, the kid almost dies, but then she thinks they're at a reunion. Yep, she doesn't know he's missing, and then... She doesn't know he's...
Okay, we'll get to that one. We'll get to what happens to poor Gohan and Chi-Chi after this. But, yeah, okay. So in the end, this is an episode where Gohan is crying in the woods. There's not a lot more to say about that.
And a farmer thinks Raditz is really hot.
Yes.
That's kind of our summary. That's all we've got.
That's really all that happened in this episode, besides Piccolo meeting Raditz.
Okay. And that's our summary.
So I guess now we can talk about the drawing.
Yeah.
Here's the original screenshot I chose to draw, and now here's the final version, which you guys saw being completed on the screen. So, the major reason I wanted to draw this was because, like I mentioned earlier, this whole episode was about sort of hinting at Gohan's true potential, and I think this screenshot kind of shows that really well with the kind of mirrored reflections of shock going on here. I really wanted to draw Goku and Gohan together, And surprisingly for this episode...
You know, yeah, we were looking, and there were few screenshots that actually included the two of them.
Yeah, that's why I chose this one. One of the major things I wanted to focus on in this drawing was making the background look as connected to the characters as possible, because that's something I've always admired about Toriyama's work. The backgrounds have always been a major aspect of the draw of the art for that show. So, yep.
What would you say was the hardest part?
The hardest part, definitely drawing Gohan. I don't draw very young children very often, so it was definitely a bit of a learning curve to get comfortable drawing the different proportions, like comparing him to Goku. But I, in the end, am very satisfied with how it turned out.
Yeah.
Using the show as a study to improve my art is the major focus for me in this series. So I have no complaints about how this ended up going on, and hopefully later on I'll get a lot more comfortable drawing child characters like Gohan and the show in general.
So now what about this hair? Because I gotta say, I've tried to draw Goku before.
Oh no.
And I'm an okay artist myself. I'm decent. But his hair, it's just nothing but spikes. And I gotta say, you've made it look like human hair that a human could have.
Yeah, Goku's hair is a bit of a mystery. I looked at it, and the only way I could really fathom it working in 3D space was this kind of weird spiky on top, spiky bangs, mullet in the back sort of look. And I did the same sort of thing for Gohan's hair.
Yeah.
Even though his is a lot more humanish in that it's not as big and spiky. It's a little more natural looking.
Yeah. I gotta say, the colors on Gohan look different to me, too, than the original screenshot. In a good way. It really melds. Do you want to talk about that and why you made those choices?
Well, a lot of the time if I'm drawing something based off of a reference and the colors end up looking different, it's just due to either personal preference for palette or due to just lighting effects. And I think lighting effects have the most to do with this because, you know, adding overlays to make lighting look more natural and to make characters blend into their environment is a huge part of the coloring and shading process.
Yeah.
So that was that.
I know Bob mentioned this series being a way for him to improve his art style and just have some fun along the way. So yeah, in terms of the viewers at home, if anyone, we want to help you improve your art as well.
So if you see anything that you have questions about in my art or just art in general, if you want to comment those below, I can definitely try and answer those in future videos and maybe focus more on my exact process. A large portion of these videos I entail the discussion of Dragon Ball. Yeah. But I can always answer questions in this little aside afterwards if anyone has any.
Yeah, we're going to dedicate a section at the end of every episode of our Screenshot Redraw series to just questions and answers and some art tips, maybe.
And goofing around, of course.
And goofing around, as usual. So if anyone has any, we're not experts.
Oh, yeah. I went through a semester of art school, so I don't really have... I don't have a classical education, but I do think I have some experience at the very least. So any questions anyone has are very welcome.
Just...
Yeah, we're here for a good time.
And a long
time.
This show, Dragon Ball Z alone, 300 episodes. So
yeah, so there's gonna be 300-ish of these. So
and how do we feel about we've got Z, got Dragon Ball, we've got Super.
That's getting ahead of ourselves.
Even GT, who knows? Stick around, find out.
Yeah. So if you liked what you saw here, you liked us goofing around, you liked the art, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're
a new channel.
We're a new channel, so any engagement will really help us grow. Thank you so much for watching.
And don't forget to check out our Twitter for polls, probably every couple of weeks, about which screenshot we draw next.
Yeah, so if you want to be able to engage with us in that way, then we will include a link to our Twitter and other social medias in the description. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, any engagement really helps, and I'll see you next time when we go into episode 2.
Don't forget to keep an eye on our channel for other Dragon Ball content. We're more than just speed paints. We've got a few animatics, right, Bob?
Yeah, we do have a few animatics planned. And
that we're real excited about.
Oh yeah, we are super excited about those. And I'm excited to share with you guys how I see the show and how I would like to pay homage to it.
And we'll see you next week with another episode of
Screenshot Redraw.